What makes tornadoes so dangerous? To understand why some tornadoes become mass casualty events, we need to look at how they form. Tornadoes are born from severe thunderstorms, particularly a type called supercells. These storms contain rotating updrafts called mesocyclones. When strong wind shear, changes in wind speed and direction with height, causes this rotation to intensify, a tornado can form, dropping from the storm like a violent, twisting rope. Most tornadoes last just a few minutes and carve narrow paths a few hundred yards wide. But under extreme conditions, they can last for hours and span more than a mile in width. These are the tornadoes that make history. Their destructive potential is magnified by factors such as population density, building construction, time of day, and the effectiveness of warning systems. A strong tornado in an empty field may go down as a curiosity. The same tornado hitting a city at rush hour becomes a catastrophe. The Great Tri-State Tornado of 1925. The deadliest tornado in U.S. history remains the Tri-State Tornado of March 18, 1925. This storm stands as a grim record holder, not just for its death toll, but also for its incredible duration and path length. For more than 3 hours, the tornado stayed on the ground, traveling 219 miles across Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. That's an almost unimaginable distance, longer than most people drive in a day, and it's still the longest continuous tornado path ever documented. At its widest, the funnel stretched more than a mile across. Moving at nearly 70 miles per hour, it gave people almost no time to react. Communities were obliterated one after another. The town of Murfreesboro, Illinois, was particularly hard hit. 234 people were killed there alone. Entire neighborhoods disappeared, schools collapsed while classes were in session, and survivors described scenes of absolute ruin. Brick homes reduced to rubble, trains derailed, and debris scattered for miles. The Dalatpur-Saturia tornado of 1989. If the Tri-State Tornado was America's darkest moment, the Dalatpur-Saturia tornado in Bangladesh was the deadliest tornado in world history. On April 26, 1989, this monstrous storm tore through the Manikganj district, leveling villages in its path. In just a matter of minutes, it killed an estimated 1,300 people, more than any other tornado on record. What made it so deadly wasn't just meteorology, but vulnerability. Bangladesh is one of the most densely populated countries in the world, and millions of people live in simple structures made of bamboo, mud, or thatch. These homes offer almost no protection against tornado-force winds. The tornado's path cut through villages filled with families who had nowhere safe to go. Tens of thousands were injured or left homeless. Rescue efforts were hampered by limited infrastructure, and survivors were forced to rebuild from scratch with minimal government aid. The Dalatpur-Saturia disaster illustrates a cruel reality. The deadliness of a tornado depends not only on its strength, but also on where it strikes. The same storm in an open field might have gone almost unnoticed. Over villages in Bangladesh, it became a national tragedy. The Madarganj-Mirzapur tornado of 1996 Bangladesh would face devastation again just 7 years later. On May 13, 1996, a tornado swept through the Madarganj and Mirzapur regions, killing around 700 people and injuring thousands more. Witnesses described a black funnel cloud ripping through the countryside, leaving behind nothing but rubble and uprooted trees. Entire villages vanished, families lost multiple members, and survivors recalled seeing livestock, homes, and people swept into the air. Relief efforts struggled to reach rural areas, and many of the injured died in the days following the storm due to lack of medical care. This event reinforced the tragic pattern. In countries with fragile housing and poor infrastructure, tornadoes can become mass killers even when they are not the strongest storms by global standards. The Joplin tornado of 2011. In the modern era, with Doppler radar, storm sirens, and 24-hour weather coverage, you might expect tornadoes to be less deadly. And yet, the Joplin, Missouri tornado of May 22, 2011 proved otherwise. This EF5 tornado struck a densely populated city of over 50,000 people. With winds topping 200 miles per hour, it destroyed schools, businesses, and even a major hospital. Despite warnings, the storm's ferocity was overwhelming. 158 people were killed, and more than 1,000 were injured. Entire neighborhoods were flattened in minutes, and cars were tossed like toys. The cost of damages approached $3 billion, making it the costliest tornado in U.S. history. The Joplin disaster revealed a modern challenge. While warnings were issued, some residents delayed seeking shelter because they doubted the severity of the alert or had experienced false alarms before. Psychologists studying the event found that many people sought confirmation before acting, waiting to see the tornado with their own eyes or to hear a second warning. This tragic hesitation underscores that even with technology, human behavior plays a critical role in survival. The Natchez tornado of 1840, long before modern meteorology, tornadoes were already leaving deep scars on history. One of the most infamous early events was the Natchez tornado of May 7, 1840, which struck Mississippi. It remains the second deadliest tornado in U.S. history, with 317 people killed. The storm struck along the Mississippi River, overturning boats and killing passengers who had no chance to escape. In Natchez itself, homes and businesses were leveled, and the debris-filled air was described by survivors as black with death. Most of the victims were working-class people and enslaved laborers, whose losses were undercounted in official tallies. This tornado is a reminder not only of nature's fury, but also of the way historical records sometimes obscure the full scale of human suffering. The Gainesville tornado of 1936. Another particularly tragic event was the Gainesville, Georgia tornado on April 6, 1936. Actually, a pair of tornadoes converging on the city. The storm destroyed the downtown area, including a crowded factory. Fires ignited by ruptured gas lines swept through the wreckage. More than 200 people were killed, making it one of the deadliest urban tornadoes in U.S. history. Newspaper accounts described desperate rescue efforts and scenes of chaos, with survivors digging through rubble by hand to free trapped victims. The event permanently altered Gainesville's landscape and remains a central part of local memory. Patterns and lessons from history. When we compare these disasters, from 19th century Mississippi to modern-day Missouri, from rural Bangladesh to industrial Georgia, a few clear lessons emerge. First, population density and housing quality matter immensely. A weak tornado hitting a trailer park can kill more people than a strong tornado in an open field. In Bangladesh, where millions live in flimsy housing, tornado fatalities are vastly higher than in the United States, even when storms are of similar strength. Second, warning systems save lives. In 1925, the tri-state tornado struck without warning, and nearly 700 people died. In 2011, Joplin had warnings, but human factors still led to tragedy. The balance between issuing enough alerts to save lives and avoiding false alarms remains a challenge. Finally, these disasters show the importance of community resilience. After every tornado, whether in Natchez, Gainesville, Joplin, or Daulatpur, survivors faced not only immediate loss, but also the long process of rebuilding. Communities came together to care for the injured, bury the dead, and reconstruct what was lost. This resilience is as much a part of the tornado story as the destruction itself.